Good morning. I have water. I have some appointments to go to, so no tea today. But I did bring the set just for you. It's good to see you. Coming from the book, How to Set Goals with Kaizen and Ikigai, one of my two favorite subjects. But today is back in March. Let's start with that. Back in March, I did Kaizen, right? The Kaizen approach. And this is what came from it. Eliminated wasted time. That's what I call this one. But it was coming. It was talking about the process, and from a business standpoint, of eliminating waste. So I had eight approaches to that, which was we waste time and effort and by doing like excessive movement between the people and machines and things like that. Most people, logistics are not just right. Okay, same goes with transportation, moving of parts. We waste time that way, waste energy, waiting. This person's waiting on this thing, and this person's waiting on the next thing, and this on down. I'm saying this one person is affecting the whole thing. So if we don't address them, then the whole entire process is delayed. Overproduction. We produce too much stuff. All right. Excessive processing. We take too long trying to do what we need to do when we just don't have a good process on how to do things, policy and procedure. Inventory. We have too little or too much of something. Defects. We produce things and then it's not right. So we have to go back and do it again. We waste time and energy with that. And non-utilized talent. We have people in place doing things that they just shouldn't be doing. You have an artist that's great at painting and stuff. You'll go pay somebody to paint while you have them scrub the toilets. So people not in the right place. And that was back in March. I did that. I think it was called the Kaizen approach. I can't really remember the actual episode, but I know it was March. It was late March 25th in my notes. So it was probably around that time. But these approaches on wasting, coming from Kaizen Teian, is adopted from the guy who made the Toyota production system. His name is Taichi Ono. This is a picture of him. This is what he looked like. And he developed the 7 Mudas. And the 7 Mudas are pretty much, I named off 8, but he had 7 Mudas in the Toyota process. But what I wanted to do today is something a little bit different. Instead of looking at your business, which is really good to do, Kaizen is perfect for business. It's developed from business to streamline your business. But being part of Kaizen Moai, where we come together for the sole purpose of getting better. Okay? Come together to get better. Kaizen Moai. So what I wanted us to look at is our lives and the way we can apply Kaizen to get better in our lives and our everyday things like that. So I was just going to look at the first one today. That was just a little introduction to it. First one. Today was moving. So we do wasteful motion. And how does that apply to our lives? Well, I wanted to look at it like this. Wasteful motion, we spend a lot of excess, or we waste time and energy trying to gather the things that we need instead of preparing for what we try to do. Instead of preparing and then tackle a problem, we get to the problem and sit in the middle of the problem and try to figure out the way to get out instead of preparing for the problem that comes. Now, you can't predict all things, but there's a lot of things that we see coming and we know it's coming. Like, uh, like when I woke up this morning, if I go ahead and say, I call my daughter or I go into her room and I'm like, we're going to leave at 5 in the morning. I already know that I'm going to have a problem doing this. So I can't wait till like 4:55 and just walk into her room. Let's say, hey, let's go. 5 o'clock, let's go. You got 5 minutes to get out of bed. I have to attack it if I know what I'm doing, if I'm preparing for this day, I can say, even if I'm starting last night, I'm going to say, hey, we got to do this at 5 in the morning. So go ahead and get your stuff together, put your stuff out, set your alarm for maybe 4:55, 4:50. So at 5 o'clock, we can be walking out. Or would you like me to wake you up? Communicate. Because I can see this being a problem if I don't address it. So we do wasteful motion we'll get into a problem and then try to work our way out of it unprepared. So do you have everything you need? That's one of the main questions you want to ask yourself. Do you have everything you need? Or are you going to be running around spending precious time gathering stuff that you should have already had in place? Another thing is, do you spend a lot of times putting out fires? And what I mean by that is, management. Like I said, communication. What I mean by fires is like, do we expect things to go according to this way, the way we think it will? When you're dealing with somebody different, they might see the problem as something different, or they might see the situation as something different. And they might not even see the situation at all. Hey, we don't have this, but it's all right. But you're like, we need this for this to happen. But they didn't see that because it wasn't communicated. So I put it this way. Do you spend a lot of time putting out fires, managing things we feel that others should know, but they just seem to mess it up? It may or may not be their fault, but do we have things prepared? Do we have the systems in place? Do we have the policies in place? Do we have the systems, policies, and procedures in place for them to manage or to know what to do? Have we laid out things like, if I'm talking about my daughter again, okay, I'm going to be gone from this time to this time. Could you please clean the kitchen? All right. Or I brought some food in from the grocery store. Can you put these up while I go do something else? Or can you help me do something else? Or, can you help me put these groceries up? If I'm leaving her to do something, have I laid out the expectations? Or did I just say, hey, I put all the groceries on the stove. Can you put them up for me? And then leave. And then come back and be like, why did you put the frozen this in the refrigerator? Or I had some bread. Do you know where the bread is? Because it's not in the space that's allotted for bread. we have to really communicate what we're expecting. And I'm not just saying like, I expect this to be done when I leave. I'm saying as expectations as this is how we should do this because it works. Do you have any suggestions? Because for one thing, they're the frontline person. I mean, as far as the business goes, the frontline person is going to be dealing with the customer. You might be sitting back saying, I expect this to be done, this to be done, this to be done, and this to be done. While they have to please your expectations and deal with the front line. I mean, being on the front line, have to deal with the customer and their expectations. So it's hard on them. We sometimes get in a way where, well, this is how I would do it, but you're not there. And then we fuss at them for not being trained the way we would want them to be trained because we didn't do it. We just expect them to, hey, think like me, okay? And then walk off. So be careful of these things. I know it's real easy. But I mean, think about this from a Christian standpoint. We think God wants us to do all these things, all right? Live right and all these things. We have to conduct ourselves. But he laid out these expectations in his word. So we're looking at, okay, I see here in Exodus 20 or Deuteronomy 5 that he has these expectations for me. So I don't really have to really guess, well, what do I think he wants me to do? He kind of wrote it out for us. And then he laid it all out. And all we have to do is access it. All we have to do is read it and then, accept it or believe it and then live it out. What most people do, unprepared, we go into situations without the guidelines and then try to figure it out. So as we go throughout this day, if we're having problems, think about, do I have things prepared? Do I have things laid out for me to really be successful? Or I have the expectations of somebody else doing something. Do I have tools for them to be successful? So just some things to think about today as we go throughout this week. There's 7 of them. Today was motion. Tomorrow's transportation, wasteful waiting, overproduction, overprocessing, inventory, and defects. So, and all of these apply to our lives just as much as it would any business. So you guys have an awesome day. And as always, love you very much. Come by.